GamingBolt presents 15 games with storylines so complex they will blow your mind. Video games don't often have the best stories. It's only been for the last decade and a half or so that they've started developing decent narratives. But sometimes even the best narratives in games spiral out of control with the burden of 3 or sometimes even 10 sequels. That can make any narrative incredibly confusing at the best of times. Metal Gear Solid. We start with the epitome of baffling video game stories. There are patriots, giant robots that can launch nuclear warheads, or maybe not, people with superpowers but not really, nanomachines control everything, the main character is a clone and so is his enemy, but the other clone sounds totally different from the original guy, even though the clone you play has the same voice. The Metal Gear series has been around since the days of the Nintendo and Famicom, so it's perfectly fitting that the latest game, Metal Gear Survive, is all about zombies. Kingdom Hearts. Kingdom Hearts 1 got off to a great start. The story was somewhat silly, but it made sense. Then a GBA version came out, which made the eventual Kingdom Hearts 2 confusing. By the time Kingdom Hearts 3 comes out, there will be 11 games out in the series. Every one of them, with the exception of Kingdom Hearts 1 and 2, are all on different platforms, spanning multiple console generations. There are HD remakes available now, but they too are confusing. Kingdom Hearts 1.5 Final Mix, Unchained X, 2.8 Final Chapter Prologue, some containing only cutscenes from previous games. Good luck figuring that all out. Castlevania. If you Google Castlevania timeline, you will be greeted with about a novel or two worth of information about history, going back as far as the 13th century. Not many people think of an engaging or deep story when it comes to Castlevania, but it's there if you dig for it. The Legend of Zelda. Nintendo loves driving their fans up the wall with the lore and history of The Legend of Zelda. For years, Nintendo refused to comment on the official timeline. Yeah, Zelda is so confusing people didn't even know what the timeline was, with each game set at totally different times. It was assumed for about a decade that there was a split timeline, but Nintendo finally did release an official timeline, which states the games all take place in the same world. What? Legacy of Kain. Speaking of games you don't often think of when it comes to story, Legacy of Kain. If you were to look up the story on Wikipedia, you're greeted with one that can assume is ancient Greek. The first line under the story section reads, "The health of the land of Nosgoth is inextricably tied to 9 edifices known as the Pillars of Nosgoth." Yeah. Halo. How confusing and long-winded can a game about killing aliens be? Very, thanks to Halo. Not only are there aliens, but there are some good aliens that kinda help, but not really, and a Master Chief person that doesn't show his face because reasons. A giant ring outside the world called the Halo, and a computer hologram that mysteriously gets younger and more naked with each game. And that's just the games, not to mention the 21 books, 3 websites, a film, a comic book series, and several spin-off games. Mass Effect. Aliens don't need to be so complicated. The story of Commander Shepard is a space opera to rival Star Wars in terms of a massive media-spanning storyline. Along with the 3 main games that send you all across the galaxy, chasing every possible danger and meeting every alien race, there are countless spin-off stories. This time there are only 5 novels, 2 films and another comic book series. Good luck keeping up with that. Assassin's Creed. Assassin's Creed is a confusing story plot-wise because it spans so many years in-game. You first play as somebody in modern time, thrown back in time to the Italian Renaissance, then to the American Revolution. There are 9 games, along with 4 spin-off games, 11 mobile games nobody's ever heard of, some short films, a feature film coming soon, and on and on and on. There's something about a war between assassins and Templars, but other than that, who knows? Half-Life. It's not that Half-Life is particularly confusing, it's just super complex and doesn't go anywhere. The final chapter in the series, Half-Life 2 Episode 2, ends on a massive cliffhanger, and developer Valve has decided to end it there, for seemingly no reason. Half-Life has a great, engaging and endearing story, but for whatever reason, we're never going to know how it ends. Xenosaga. It's amazing there aren't more JRPGs on this list, huh? The basic premise of Xenosaga is easy enough. There's an ancient device that some government wants to harness the power of. The thing is though, this simple enough start turns into a massive war involving multiple factions across several different planets, and it's a very political affair. Each faction has a bizarre name, and nobody's motivations make much sense in the grand scheme of things. Resident Evil. The story in Resident Evil went from straightforward and interesting to downright bizarre and stupid with the latest games. Umbrella Corp has become the de facto bad guys, and the T-Virus is the explanation for just about everything. Umbrella Corp has taken over the government, kidnapped the president's daughter, destroyed half the globe, and so much more in countless games, it's just about impossible to explain what they're doing anymore, or why they're doing any of it. Mortal Kombat. Did you even know Mortal Kombat has a plot? Yeah, each warrior joins a tournament to prove they're the best warriors, or whatever. But beyond that, each character has their own massive subplot, sometimes spanning multiple continents and large amounts of time, even intertwining with other characters. With each game comes new characters and new twists to each of their stories. It's a lot of work to keep up with for a game about ripping people's heads off. Zero Escape. Zero Escape is a series of visual novels on the DS, 3DS and Vita, and has a cult following. As you'd expect with a Japanese game, the story is as bonkers as it is confusing. The plot of each game follows Saw, in that 9 people are kidnapped and trapped in rooms and have to escape. As the games go on, it's revealed that these characters are somehow linked together, along with other science fiction and horror elements thrown in, and each game is subtly linked together as well. Deus Ex. Deus Ex is a fantastic series, and the original had arguably the first truly great story in a video game. It was as deep as it was engaging. It's a story of cyborgs, robots, terrorist cells, a deadly virus, betrayal, love, loss, and family drama, all woven together perfectly, so none of it feels forced in or out of place. The newer games in the series aren't nearly as subtle or captivating, frankly, but the original game is still a classic. The Souls series. Your first time playing a Souls game, or even Bloodborne, you might think there's no plot at all. There is one, quite an extensive one, but it's hidden from you. Like everything else in a Souls game, you have to earn the story, one bloody scrap at a time. When you do start to get into it, you only get pieces at a time, pieces that don't seem to connect at first. The challenge comes in putting these pieces together and figuring out what's really going on by yourself.
Like this video? Why not give us a like and subscribe? We try and upload amazing videos almost every single day. Thank you for watching this video, and we'll see you on the next one.